was always the Jags.
It's always the Jags. It's always the Jags.
Always the Jags.
Welcome into Always the Jags, your number one podcast for everything Jacksonville, everything Jaguars, everything Duval. Now we're going to talk about how we're going to beat the Seahawks. Because the Seahawks and the Buccaneers maybe just played an instant classic in the way that Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield were just going back and forth up and down the field. And, honestly, I'm happy for Sam Darnold because I think it's impressive that, he's bounced around to different teams. But after that resurgent year with the Vikings, he was able to come to the Seahawks and keep that going. Because a lot of people wonder, was that just Kevin O'Connell and Justin Jefferson? And in some ways it was, but he's making it work in Seattle. And they're playing really well. That's going to be a challenge. I'm not going to say more of a challenge than the Chiefs because Mahomes, again, is just different. But it's still going to be a challenge because the Seahawks defense is playing well. They get after it. They've got a pretty good secondary. But Tariq Woolen isn't playing as well. And teams are starting to pick that apart. And Tariq Woolen will either be covering Brian Thomas Jr. or Travis Hunter. And now that Brian Thomas Jr. has remembered to catch again, and Travis Hunter is really starting to round into form, this game could get out of hand pretty quickly for them. And again, Travis Hunter, he seems like he's working his way to playing more on both sides, right? Because we're going to need him to help stop Cooper Kupp and JSN, but we're also going to need him to score on Tariq Woolen and Devin Witherspoon in the Seahawks game. So I think the key matchups, if Trayvon Walker is back and healthy again, the key matchup is going to be the offensive line because against the Chiefs, the Jaguars weren't able to generate much pressure. There's a couple of times where Josh Hines-Allen got in the backfield there, but that was more based upon our secondary play. And it feels like Campanelli knew that and used it to disguise blitzes and things like Devin Lloyd's interception because he knew it's going to be tougher to get home with 4 when Trayvon Walker's not playing. So he adapted his game plan for that. And I think with the Seahawks, he can do something similar, but I think our defensive line is better than their offensive line if we have Trayvon Walker back, who was day-to-day after just having surgery on Monday. So he could be back, next week, because I think the interior Seahawks, their guards are playing well. Gray Zabel is playing better. Abraham Lucas, Charles Cross, they've got some good guys up there. But I don't think their center and their other guard are that great. And I think they've had some of their tackles have struggled with kind of the upper echelon edge rushers. And so with Eric Armstead providing a consistent push in the middle, and Mason Smith was making some things happen. He was kind of getting into he was in the backfield a couple of times against the Chiefs, and he was making some plays. And so it's nice to see him start to come along. There was even one play where he almost got a sack of Patrick Mahomes if he just wraps his arm and pulls him down. And that would have led to a big third. I think that was on third down. And it would have led to a big fourth that potentially they would have punted, and then we could have kneeled out the game and would have won. So, but again, I'm okay that he didn't get that because we needed to see Trevor with the game on the line, the entire team on his back, go out there and get the win. I think our defense can make life difficult for Sam Darnold. Get into his face, send a blitz every now and then, and I think that will help. Their receivers are good, though. Cooper Kupp still has it. I think Jordan Lewis should be able to cover him well, but we're going to have to figure out JSN because I don't know if we can leave Tyson Campbell in single coverage against JSN or if he'll need some safety help or if Travis Hunter can cover JSN because JSN he's starting to move up into that. I'm not sure why he wasn't in the top 5, top 10 conversation coming into this year, but he's starting to move into the top 5 conversation in receivers. So if we can cover them, maybe give some safety help and let Jordan Lewis handle Cooper Kupp, which should be a fine matchup, I think we'll be able to get some nice pressure on Sam Darnold and just make things tough for him. And again, with our run defense playing the way it is, having Trayvon Walker back will really anchor that run defense. And then that'll pressure him into hopefully we can get a Sam Darnold mistake, like when he threw that interception against the Buccaneers. And that could be what we need in order to turn the game because it could come down to one interception, right? The way that game came down to. And again, the Chiefs hadn't had any takeaways. We've had 3+ in each of our last 4 games, and we forced one here. And it was the biggest one of the night. I think the Chiefs only had 1 takeaway all year. So, again, it was a strength meets a weakness. And this, the fact that we got a takeaway against a team that had only given up one all year kind of proves that it's not really just luck. It's not just luck with these takeaways and interceptions. Like it's because sometimes takeaways can be partly luck, being in the right space at the right time. But this is luck, and Campanile has developed a scheme that forces turnovers, that creates turnovers. And the Chiefs have a scheme that limits turnovers. So when those come together, we still were able to get one, but the fact that we were able to get one shows that like this leading the league in takeaways is not a flash in the pan. This is something that's actually sustainable for our team. So I think that'll be the key. Force Sam Darnold into mistakes because he's playing really well. He's played really well, but he still makes mistakes, just like any quarterback. So force Sam Darnold into mistakes, and we can get a win against the Seahawks. I think another thing for our offense, the Seahawks defensive line is doing pretty well, but if our offensive line is healthy and able to stay out there, I think we should be able to handle them. They have some good guys in the middle. I think Leonard Williams is still on the Seahawks, and he's still a force to be reckoned with. Boye Mafe is starting to come along, but other than that, their edge rusher, their other guy, I'm not sure how great he is. Walker Little has kind of been up and down this year. I kind of thought he would be better. Anton Harrison is playing extremely well right now. And he went out of the game for a little bit, but came back. So hopefully he's all right. We'll definitely need him in this game. But Anton Harrison is starting to show that he can one-on-one some of the better pass rushers in the league. And Walker Little had a fantastic pancake block that allowed Trevor to spring and get into the end zone on that last play. So Walker Little, I think, has been, he's been surprisingly up and down. I still believe in him, but I was kind of expecting him to be a little bit better this year than what we've seen. It feels like he wasn't as good as he was in years in the past, like last year. So that was a little surprising. But I still think he has a good opportunity against the Seahawks pass rush. Robert Hainsey is still just a mauler in the middle, and again, we'll need him, so hopefully he's healthy. And Ezra Cleveland had another good game with double teaming Chris Jones and keeping him out of the way. Patrick McCarry had a couple of flubs here and there again, but overall, I think we'll be able to handle that Seahawks defensive line. And then attacking their corners, again, obviously, Reek Woolen is the weak spot. Devin Witherspoon is still playing well, but we're going to need Brenton Strange because we're going to need to hit guys over the middle of the field because Brenton Strange is still a mismatch for linebackers. And then obviously from what I don't know how good the Seahawks run defense is. I don't think it's great, but I think that's going to be a game to lean on the run game and maybe even put in some design scrambles because now we know and we've seen that Trevor Lawrence scrambling is what unlocks the pass game. So sticking to the run game, of course, but allowing Trevor Lawrence to get out of the pocket and scramble, that's what opened up the passing game for us in this game. And I think we can keep that going against the Seahawks that don't necessarily have a vaulted run defense. But it's a good team. It's going to be a good test. I feel a lot better picking us to win because it's going to be in our stadium than it would be in theirs. And I really look at our schedule and after we beat the Chiefs, and I think it's mainly because this game would have been like, it wasn't just like a lucky shot, we were able to come behind and win. Like this game shouldn't have been this close. It shouldn't have been this close. Like it looked like the Chiefs were dominating early on, but once we started to catch on, if you change the outcome of a couple of things, of course you could say that like, okay, if you take away Trevor's, 1-yard fumble against Nick Bolton, you could also take away Devin Lloyd's interception return for a touchdown because that was a mistake by Patrick Mahomes. Those kind of things kind of even out those turnovers. Nick Bolton made an amazing play there. But just the calls by the refs gave the Chiefs 11 points, at least. The game didn't even have to be this close, but it came down to the wire and ended up being a thriller. So I think because of that, that's making me look at the schedule and say, like, again, we don't want to say who's going to threaten us because we got to be careful. You could lose any game. The NFL this week has proved any team can lose any game. The Patriots upsetting the Bills. I think there was another couple upsets. The Titans beating the Cardinals, like the Broncos beating the Eagles. Any team can lose any week. No one should feel comfortable where they are. And we just proved that by beating the Chiefs. But if we're on our crap, and our players are healthy and playing, you look at the season and you wonder, like, who's really going to beat us head up by playing better football if we don't beat ourselves. And so I think Liam Cohen has the ship going in a great direction. I think Jaguars fans should feel nothing but optimism. I think we can feel confident in Trevor Lawrence. I want to see Nick Wright address, I can't remember his name, but there's a guy on the ESPN's First Things First who does not believe in Trevor Lawrence. And he's like, I got to see way more from him. I want to see Nick Wright dig into him today. I can't wait to turn it on and see that, because Nick Wright is going to have a field day for his prince, because he believes in Trevor and I believe in Trevor. And Trevor was able to defeat the black magic of the Chiefs, even with the refs trying to give the calls all the way to the Chiefs to allow them to win. He was like, no, not going to happen today. So let me know your thoughts on this game. Let me know if you think the Jaguars can beat the Seahawks. I'm going to pick the Jaguars to win. Again, I picked against us this week. And, as they say, like, being wrong never felt so good. Like, I am elated to be wrong about my picks for this week. I think I went I was at double digits or more. I might have got my first single digit spread this week. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on the Jaguars beating the Chiefs, Liam Cohen's offense, Devin Lloyd Defensive Player of the Year, and whether we can keep this going against the Seahawks. And never, ever forget, it was always the Jags. Thank you so much for watching Always the Jags. Make sure you like and subscribe down below. Check out some of these other videos that I'm sure you'll be interested in as we chase Duval greatness. Thank you for joining us again, and until next time.